Welcome back to Mind Your Hormones. I'm super excited about this episode, which if you've been here for a minute, I say that about literally every single episode, but I really like this one because I don't think we've ever really talked about it on the show. And this comes from one of you in the community. You submitted a question to the form that I have, which if you didn't know, I have like a little type form. You could fill it out and just write whatever question that you want me to have answered on the show. You can give me specifics. Obviously, it could be anonymous, like this woman did not leave her name. So I'm just going to read her question, but it could be a really good way for me to get an idea of what you're wanting to hear more about on the show and get to answer a specific question, which is so cool. So I'll put that in the show notes for you. But today's question comes from No Name. So whoever you are, you'll know if you ask this question. But she writes, just wondering what your thoughts are on weight loss and trying to conceive. I know it's important to eat, not fast, healthy blood sugar. Obviously, she listens to the pod. But what about being in a calorie deficit if you're overweight and worried your weight is affecting you from getting pregnant? Or should you not worry about weight number on scale? Okay, I love this so much. So, of course, your weight can impact your fertility, right? So, being significantly underweight or significantly overweight can impact your fertility on both ends of the spectrum. There's no perfect number. You don't have to be like, there's nothing that's like perfect, but if you're significantly on either side of the spectrum, that's going to impact your fertility. Like, for example, higher body fat can contribute to insulin resistance, higher androgens, which are like male hormones, which is a big issue for PCOS, inflammation, irregular ovulation, all of these things that we know impact your fertility. This is especially relevant for people who do have PCOS with the inflammation and the insulin resistance, blood sugar dysregulation, irregular cycles, not ovulating, all those things, right? So, of course, having higher body fat, having a higher BMI can impact all of those things. And we want to not even just from like a BMI standpoint, but from if you're looking at what pregnancy is and the stress that it is on your body, being pregnant, having the baby, like birthing the child, and then being postpartum is extremely stressful event on your body. So we want to go into pregnancy as healthy overall all around as we can. If you're a little overweight, that doesn't mean that you're not healthy. But if I don't know exactly what this question was asking this person, but if you have extremely high BMI, obviously that's an added stress to your body. So your body can only handle so much stress, right? So it can impact you. So improving, but also if you're underweight, this could be an issue too. If you're underweight, it's going to impact you being able to get pregnant as well, because you need a specific amount of healthy body fat in order to get pregnant. So you don't want to be on either end of the spectrum. But improving your metabolic health is going to improve your fertility outcomes, right? So yes, if you are overweight, losing weight can improve your metabolic health, which is then going to improve your fertility outcomes. But I think I know one of the problems with weight loss and fertility is that we have grown up, or I don't know, maybe you're around my age, I'm 36 at the time of this recording, with like losing weight equals diet, equals extreme calorie deficit. You're cutting calories, you're cutting carbs, you're doing a lot of working out. It's more of like a quick, like extreme type of thing. And that's like those typical diet strategies can backfire for fertility. So this is where it could be a problem with like having those mistakes when you are trying to lose weight. Skipping over meals, completely fasting, over exercising, totally cutting carbs, extreme calorie restriction, and prioritizing weight loss, like the speed of your weight loss, over metabolic health. We really want to change the way that we're looking at this from losing weight to improving our metabolic health, to improving our inflammation levels, our blood sugar regulation, our fertility, with losing weight as like the natural byproduct of that, right? Because if you are in extreme calorie restriction, skipping meals, fasting, over exercising, cutting carbs, all those things, this can hurt your trying to conceive journey and your fertility because it raises cortisol, because it's a major stress on the body. The higher cortisol levels are, the lower your progesterone is, which is the hormone needed to get and stay pregnant, which this could then disrupt ovulation. Again, this could disrupt ovulation if you're underweight as well. Lower progesterone, which I just talked about, dysregulates your blood sugar. One of the quickest ways to dysregulate your blood sugar is skipping meals, fasting, cutting too many calories, cutting carbs, and like over exercising, doing all those things, which is so interesting because if you have PCOS, That's what your doctor tells you to do. Literally, especially if you're overweight and you have PCOS. Not everybody who has PCOS is overweight. There's lean PCOS, which is what I have. But when you go to the doctor and they're like, okay, you have PCOS and like you need to lose weight, they're like, just eat less and work out more. It's like, cool, thanks for the tip, doc. But actually doing that is going to dysregulate your blood sugar more, increase your stress levels, and it's going to just backfire. Okay. So that's when weight loss can impact your fertility in a negative way. Your body needs to feel safe and nourished in order to prioritize reproduction, because reproduction is not vital to our survival. You don't need to ovulate and get pregnant in order to stay alive. So when it comes to your body, what's the word I'm looking for? Not like saving energy, but conserving. When it comes to your body, like conserving energy, especially if it's in a really stressed out state, your body is not going to care or prioritize about ovulating and about having healthy progesterone levels and about getting you pregnant, doing all these things. So when we do look at weight loss from this extreme way that we have been conditioned to in society for decades, that's when your body doesn't feel safe and nourished, and that's when it does not prioritize reproduction. Okay? There's some people are going to be like, oh my God, but they're like bodybuilders, only people that get pregnant. Yes, there's always an exception to the rule, but that's not the case for everybody. Okay? So the goal for weight loss, again, should be metabolic health and hormone health, not just weight loss. And the weight loss will happen as a byproduct. So I want you to shift that focus of, instead of chasing the number on the scale, like you asked, like just forget the number on the scale. I don't want you to forget the number on the scale if you want to like measure your progress. But you can measure progress with how you feel and how your clothes fit. But I want you to shift that focus on improving your blood sugar regulation, your insulin sensitivity, your inflammation levels, your gut health, your nutrient density. All of these things impact your weight. And so when you shift to focusing on that, it takes your mind away from cutting carbs, cutting calories, working out more into, okay, so like how can I reduce my inflammation levels? Ooh, my gut health. Ooh, that could definitely impact my weight. What do I need to do to actually help support my gut health, right? These are the things that I want you to be thinking about instead of losing weight. Because when you shift your focus on what the goal is, what the priority is, and how you're going to get there, it's going to change the actions you're taking. It's going to make you feel like, okay, I don't have to actually eat less. I don't have to have just like a little, like eat like a fucking rabbit and have like lettuce and a carrot for lunch, and have like 2 little meals a day. Like, no, I am actually going to nourish myself, but with mainly whole foods, lots of plant foods, focusing on blood sugar regulation, 3 main meals throughout the day in your luteal phase, which I'm going to talk about how you can support calorie deficits based off of your cycle phases. But in your luteal phase, having a snack in between your breakfast and lunch, and then your lunch and dinner, not going more than 4-ish hours between meals, gentle movement, all these things, which we're going to get into. But these are the things that are going to improve your metabolic health, and then your weight is naturally going to shift in a healthy direction, right? Because it should be our focus no matter what, whether you want to maybe gain weight if you're having an issue being underweight, or if you want to lose weight. So there, of course, are times where weight loss is needed, right? In order for you to feel your healthiest, in order for your reproductive system to be optimized, in order for your fertility to be optimized, but it should be done gently, not in an extreme way, and not in the way that we've seen for years and years and years. So the key principles I want you to focus on is a moderate calorie deficit, not an extreme one. I'm going to talk to you about specifically with phases in your cycle in a second with that. Consistent meals. One of the biggest lies that we have to recreate in our brain is that in order to lose weight, I have to eat less and like starve myself. That is not sustainable. That is not going to support your metabolism. It's actually going to do the opposite, which is why when people do that, you might lose weight initially, but the second you start eating like a regular person again, it comes flooding back, okay, which we don't want. We want metabolic flexibility and metabolic health. So consistent meals that are blood sugar balanced. Have a whole free training on how to create blood sugar regulated meals. I'll put that below. And obviously in Restore PCOS Fertility, I teach you exactly how to do all of that, like not just your meals, but from top to bottom, nutrition, lifestyle, the whole thing. But consistent blood sugar regulated meals, adequate protein, fiber, and healthy fats. So many people, especially when we're talking about weight loss, are ODing on protein and only focusing on protein and totally negating the supportive properties of fiber and healthy fats when not only it comes to your metabolic health, your blood sugar, your inflammation, and your gut health, but also your fertility. So not just adequate protein, not just like counting your protein grams and all this shit and having double your like body weight or whatever the fuck it is, but fiber and healthy fats as well. Like just as important, okay? Consistent movement, not going to a million spin classes because I need to sweat it out, or running, or like what's that other one? Orange Theory or whatever. Like consistent movements that are not gentle, they're not going to tax your nervous system, and that are not going to really increase your cortisol levels and add more stress to the body, right? Working out is a stress on the body, and your body has only so much capacity. We want consistent movement like resistance training, strength training, Pilates, yoga, like something like that is, challenging you, but it's something you could do consistently, like at least 5 days a week, which means usually for most people, it's like 20 to 30 minutes max, especially if you're already a mom. If I see a 45-minute workout, I couldn't exit a situation quicker. I do not have the space as a mom, a working mom, running a business, doing all things for 45-minute workouts every day. That is not sustainable for me. And it's not sustainable for most people, even if you don't have children yet. 45 minutes every day is just not practical. In my opinion, okay, for consistency, I would rather you do 20 minutes every single day than like 2 45 minutes classes a week by a long shot. Okay. So really finding how you can be consistent with that. For me, that's at home workouts. I do Be the Method. I used to do Melissa Wood Health. I still love her stuff, but I really love Be the Method right now. I also like the strength training with, oh my God, how am I blanking on her name? She's so funny. She's such a great account. We don't agree on nutrition stuff, but who cares? Her workouts are so good. Oh my God, this is going to really piss me off. But she has really good at-home workouts. I'm going on Instagram to search her, but I can't think of her name. Whatever, it'll come to me. But anyway, for me, it's at-home workouts. That's how I stay consistent. For other people, you need to have accountability, maybe going to a gym or having a workout buddy or something like that. Consistency is key. It has to be something that you can fit into your lifestyle, because again, this is not something we're just doing for like 21 days. This is, okay, how am I now creating a lifestyle that right now is going to help me lose weight over the next few months, but it's also going to help me maintain a healthy weight with ease once I do lose the weight or gain the weight, whichever way you need to go. Okay. That is what is most important. Sustainability, consistency. Okay. And then walking. Walking is so underrated, especially when it comes to weight loss. And when you're in a calorie deficit, if you're doing stuff like intense cardio, you're going to get really hungry from doing that. And you're going to obviously then want to eat more. When you're wanting to be in a slight calorie deficit, but you also want to, of course, exercise for your metabolism, for your inflammation, for losing weight, walking is your best friend. Walk, 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 walk. If you right now have on average 3,000 steps a day. Okay, how can we create this so now we're aiming for 5,000 steps? And once that becomes something that's normal each day, we go up to 7,000 and etc. If your normal right now is 7,000, okay, how can we get you more towards 9,000? Like, see where you're at and work your way up to about 10,000 steps. Well, sometimes that's not always accurate, but like 8-ish thousand steps a day is really where I would love for you to be. And again, it doesn't have to be like you're on the fucking treadmill like at speed 4, like you could be like 2.5 or whatever, like, or just going outside for a walk. Really prioritize walking. Okay. Cannot stress it enough. Okay. And then of course, nervous system support, right? This is usually not talked about in the past when we're talking about weight loss, but especially when we're talking about your fertility. Trying to conceive is a stress just in and of itself, mentally, physically, emotionally, all the things. Adding a weight loss journey on top of it, work stress, partner stress, family, friends, life, like the world that we're living in right now, okay? Especially anywhere you are in the world, doesn't matter where you are. But like really prioritizing your nervous system regulation is so, so, so important for maintaining a healthy weight with ease, for metabolic flexibility, for this to be consistent. So what does that look like for you? Does that look like a meditation practice? Does it look like walking in silence in nature? Does it look like silent showers? Does it look like journaling, reading, therapy? Like, what does it look like for you? Okay. We want sustainable changes that support long-term metabolic health, not crash dieting. Okay. By the way, in the background of my brain right now, I'm still trying to think of the name of this woman on Instagram, and it is driving me nuts because I have zero. Like usually I'll have like a first letter in my brain. I have zero right now. She's so funny though. Some of you probably know her. I'm so pissed that I can't think of it. I wish she would just like pop up on my page. Do you think that, Instagram could read my mind? You think like our AI is that good or what? Because I'm pissed. If I can't think of it while I'm literally on my phone right now because I'm getting so annoyed. If I can't think of it by the time I'm done with the episode, I will put it in the show notes for you. Okay. So it will be there. Okay. That's for like strength training stuff. That's what I was talking about. She's great at home workouts. Okay. So that is how we want to look at it. Now, I don't want to really say cycle syncing, but the easiest way for you to be in a calorie deficit with taking your hormones into consideration and for it to be something that is sustainable is to prioritize more of a calorie deficit. Still not an extreme one, but like prioritizing more of a calorie deficit in your follicular phase, which your follicular phase is the phase before you ovulate. Okay. Because your metabolism is naturally slower in your follicular phase. You're just naturally less hungry. So capitalize on that. It is going to be so much easier for you in your follicular phase to have more of a calorie deficit, to not have an after dinner snack, to not need as huge of portion sizes, to be able to be more satiated on not as much. Okay. That doesn't mean to eat like a little bird. You still want consistent meals, blood sugar regulated, but you're naturally going to need probably a little bit less carb. You're not going to crave that like snack after lunch and that like dessert right after dinner. Like you naturally are going to be more satiated with less, especially if you are focusing on blood sugar. Okay. You're just so slightly larger calorie deficit in your follicular phase could be helpful. Like you could do more intense exercises. Again, I don't want you to be doing anything extreme, but in your follicular phase, you have more of a capacity for exercise than like more intense, I want to say, exercise than in your luteal phase. You're just more metabolically flexible. Your metabolism is slower naturally because progesterone isn't on the scene yet. So you're just more easily able to get away with less calories and not feeling hangry, which we don't want you to feel hangry, okay? But the follicular phase is going to be where it's a lot easier for you to have a bit of a calorie deficit. Whereas in your luteal phase, which is the phase, the 10 to 14 days before your period, it's the phase after your ovulation, your body just needs more support. And as cycling women, we just have to wrap our head around that. And it could be really annoying because your body could look completely different in the follicular phase and in the luteal phase. You could have the same exact meal in your follicular phase, and then you get to luteal phase and you're like, why am I so hungry after this? What is happening? We need slightly more calories in our luteal phase because of where our metabolism is at. Because we produce progesterone from ovulation, your metabolism is now higher, which means we're going to have a slightly higher need for more calories, specifically more carbohydrates. You're going to want to have and need to have more carbohydrates. Carbs are not the enemy. We need carbs for our energy, for our brain, for our ovaries to function, for blood sugar stabilization. You just don't want to just have carbs all by themselves. You want to pair it properly with healthy fats and with protein every single phase of your cycle. But you're definitely going to want more carbs like brown rice and sweet potatoes, acorn squash, sweet potato squash, like not sweet potato squash, butternut squash, spaghetti squash, like things like that. In your luteal phase, you're going to need more of that and you're going to want more of that. So it's going to be slightly higher calories. So your calorie deficit isn't going to be either non-existent or it's not going to be as much of a calorie deficit in your luteal phase. And it shouldn't be, because again, we want to not be doing this really aggressively. And if you try to aggressively diet and be in too much of a calorie deficit in your luteal phase, this can increase your stress hormones like your cortisol levels. And that is going to tank your progesterone levels, which is really a hard no when it comes to getting pregnant, because you need healthy progesterone levels in order to get pregnant and stay pregnant. Okay. So focus on, having slightly bigger portions of meals, adding in more carbs in your luteal phase, possibly not being in as much of a calorie deficit, gentler movement, lots of walking, all that. Focus on your nervous system regulation. And if you are hungry, that's okay. And don't let yourself get hangry, because that's going to negatively impact your blood sugar and your metabolism. And then that's going to backfire with your weight loss. Okay. I am not a weight loss expert. Okay. I'm a hormones expert. So that's where I'm coming from with this. Okay. And then what I want you to look at too is when you are doing this, if you're like, ooh, is this like, I don't know, is it negatively impacting my fertility by losing weight like this? Here are some signs you could look out for if your weight loss is maybe in your weight loss approach is too aggressive while trying to conceive. Okay. So some red flags could be missed or delayed ovulation, right? There's so many things that can cause this, but this is one of them, especially if you're changing things when it comes to your weight loss approach. Missed or delayed ovulation is a huge red flag. A shorter luteal phase than you've had in the past, maybe more spotting or PMS going on. So like low progesterone symptoms in your luteal phase, more moodiness, spotting, cramping, or if you already have those things, it's intensifying. It's not getting better, right? Fatigue, your sleep is more disturbed. You're not having as great of sleep. You're having really strong cravings or wanting to binge. These are some things that can signal, like these are some signs from your body that your body feels a little bit too stressed or undernourished. And if that continues and we ignore these red flags, it's going to get into even bigger problems. And of course, this is going to impact your chance of getting pregnant. So your goal is metabolically healthy, reducing inflammation, blood sugar regulated, feeling nourished, and having sustainable lifestyle habits. Like really just looking at maybe the things that you're doing right now, like eating at home more, eating mostly whole foods, again, walking more. It's really the simple things. It's more of the mindset work than anything else. Most of the time, you know what you need to do or what can be helpful for you, but it's changing your identity. It's wrapping your head around the fact that things are going to look different. You're going to have to change some of the habits you might feel really comfortable in now. And that's the hard work, is changing your habits, changing your identity, becoming the person who does X, Y, and Z, and not the person who's doing what you're doing right now. And your ego and your brain is wired to keep you safe. And for your ego and your brain, safe equals whatever you're doing right now because it knows how to handle that. So the biggest shift for you when losing weight, when trying to conceive, when changing your habits and doing anything is really wrapping your mindset around it and creating a new identity for yourself, different expectations of what you're looking for, and holding yourself to a different standard of what will and will not be allowed in your experience anymore. The excuses you are or are not going to allow for yourself anymore. Like really tapping into where you are resisting yourself, holding yourself back, and not allowing yourself to get to this next level of health because your mindset just isn't wrapped around it yet. That's going to really be the hard work. Okay. So yes, the goal is metabolically healthy, blood sugar, blah, blah, all those things, but it's also creating the mindset and becoming the person who lives a lifestyle like this consistently, no matter who you're around, no matter where you are. And obviously there's things that are going to shift, but like I recently went to Disney World in Florida for like 11 days. Okay. I had every single meal was blood sugar regulated. I did not skip a meal. I was still walking like crazy. I fit in meditations where I could. I was still plant-based and gluten-free. Like these are just, it wasn't like, obviously I was eating out like a lot. I wasn't having the exact same foods I would be having, but it was just like, I did not even think about it because it's just how I live my life now that I just like fit the pieces of it into my life when I can. And I know what the most important things are to focus on. This is one of the best benefits of creating and living the Mind Your Hormones method lifestyle because it fits your season no matter where you are. And it's something that you just become this person and you know how to support yourself. And it feels so empowering and it just makes things so much easier and so much more simplified. That's what I really wish for everybody. Okay. So anyway, so yes, that's the goal. The goal is not crash dieting. It's not obsessively tracking. It's not punishing yourself with these intense exercise routines. Like that is not what this is because fertility thrives when your body feels nourished, when your body feels safe, and when you are metabolically supported. Okay. So yes, weight loss is absolutely possible naturally. Okay. Not with like a GLP-1 or whatever. Naturally, when you are trying to conceive without it sabotaging your fertility, it just takes a perspective shift of away from the extreme dieting that we've grown up with into a more nourished way to do it and a slower pace with self-love at the center of it instead of like self-hate and self-deprivation. What's the word I'm looking for? Self-deprecating. I think that's it. Okay. Anyway, that is everything for this episode. Anything that I talked about, I will link below for you. I still have not thought of this woman's name. And Studio Era. Studio Era. That's not her name, but Studio Era is the name of her app. Okay. And I have her app. So this is how I can figure it out. Okay, stick with me. Stick with me. Studio Era, or I could just Google it right now. It'll probably come up quicker. Studio Era. What is her name? Madeline Raskin. That is it. It's either Madeleine or Madeline. I'm not sure, but that's who it is. Oh, I can rest easy tonight knowing that I figured it out before we got off the call. Okay, she has really great strength training workouts. Love her. She's awesome. Anyway, I'll put that below for you. I have no affiliation with her, by the way. I just think she's really great exercise routines. And if you're looking for at-home stuff and you want more strength training, she has really great programs. Okay, anyway, I love you. Mwah, and I'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you so much for being here. If you loved this episode and learned something valuable, please share it with a friend who you think would also love it, or post it on social media and tag me so I could personally say thank you for helping me spread this important message. I am beyond grateful to be here with you. So until next time, stay intentional, stay consistent, and always mind your hormones.